me get something straight. Those of you who are cheering me right now, you are just the biggest part of me leaving as anything else. Because you're the ones that are sipping out of those collector cups right now. You're the ones that buy those programs that my face isn't on the cover of. And then at 5 in the morning at the airport, you try to shove it in my face so you can get an autograph and try to sell it on eBay because you're too lazy to go get a real job. I'm leaving with the championship, and hell, who knows? Maybe I'll go defend it in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe I'll go back to Ring of Honor.
Hey, this is the ring assassin Alex Arsenal, and you're listening to Tiger Driver Radio, the king of podcasts.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tiger Driver Radio for all things Ring of Honor, New Japan, AEW, and the best of the indies. This is your main man, JP, alongside Juicy Chaito. Chaito?
No, I was trying to do like a New Japan.
No, what does that mean?
Like Juicy J, but with that New Japan Japanese feel.
But Jaito.
I don't know. I was trying to do something different.
Like Jaito. It's like, do I know that word? It's like,
or you know how when they say J Waito,
yeah.
Kind of.
No, but if it was Juicy J, Juicy J, not Jaito.
It doesn't sound that cool.
Yeah. See, what Jaito sounds like a completely different name. I was like, did you change your name this week? I mean, I know a lot of people are changing their gimmicks up this week. You know.
Yeah.
And that other fucking company.
I'm gonna change my gimmick to a heel.
What are you now?
SEMA Juice.
Oh yeah. That's what
Juice.
That's what Anthony from Lonja Libre has been kind of calling you.
Yeah.
You know, Zima Juice.
Yeah, I just drink some Zimas and go crazy.
Is Zima still out?
I don't think so. I think it's gone now.
It's gone again because they brought it back for a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if anyone out there can tell me, is Zima still a thing? Is that still out there? I know they brought back a couple of Pepsi Clear for a while.
Yeah.
They brought that. Yeah, you didn't know that? Like 2 years ago, they brought it by Pepsi Clear back. Yeah,
that's weird. That's like clear gravy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I didn't like Pepsi Clear back then, and they brought it back for a little while. They brought back Surge. Remember Surge?
I don't remember Surge.
You don't remember that soda Surge? No.
Was it like like a green something green?
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was like a green soda, like Surge. They went this whole thing like these past couple of years where they're bringing back stuff from the 90s. Ectoplasma Cooler. Remember that?
What is that? No.
Like the High C juice from Ghostbusters. And remember Slimer from Ghostbusters? Yeah. Like he was on the cover of the box. Ectoplasmic Cooler. You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, High C had man. Yeah, like High C had like this limited like release of like Ghostbusters juice, and it was called Ectoplasmic Cooler, and it was green. And they brought it back. Like I think they still have it out now. It sucks. I mean, there's so many things that as a kid that I used to like that I don't like now. And that is especially when it comes to like sweet stuff. Like I'm like, ugh.
It was too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Just like now, I used to love the WWE. Now it's too fucking much. It's too bad. It's not good.
Yeah, it's too. Shows go for too long.
Shows are too fucking long. Wrestlers are underutilized. Things aren't quite exciting.
Yeah. But what is exciting? New Japan.
New Japan is always exciting, and I'm stoked, dude. There's a lot of things going on, dude, in around the world of wrestling. Everything from like Kota Ibushi signing a 4-year deal and says that he will be with New Japan until the day that he dies. Bold statement. I kind of think Kota Ibushi's coming to that point in his career where he wants to be remembered. He wants to basically
make a legacy.
I mean, he refers to guys like Nakamura and Tanahashi as gods. So I think we'll go get into it a little bit later. I think he's definitely coming to a point where he wants to push the Intercontinental title,
make it the best thing.
Make it the best thing, because there was a period of time when Nakamura had it where the Intercontinental title was just as important and maybe slightly more important than the IWGP Heavyweight title for like a year. Because Nakamura was so over and so popular and was having these amazing matches, and his character that I remember one year that was the year that Naito lost his chance at the main event, and Wrestle Kingdom was headlined by Tanahashi versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental title, and then the second main event was Naito versus Okada. I remember that was like the controversial thing where Naito won the G1 Climax. People did not like him. He was super unpopular, and it came to the point where the New Japan front offices realized, like, oh damn, like this really unpopular guy's going to headline Wrestle Kingdom. Let's give it a fan vote, and they voted him out of the main event and put the IC title as the main event. After that, Naito left to New Japan, went to Mexico for a while, came back and became a heel, a huge heel, and he didn't give a shit. He would just completely antagonize the audience, and bam, the legend is born of Tranquilo and Los Ingobernables de Japón. That's kind of what happened in a nutshell. That's how you save a character. Take notes.
Yeah. You're not going to save Yoshihashi, though.
You're not going to save Yoshihashi. Not God fucking help him. But yeah, man. Exactly. So anyway, man, New Japan's always fun. New Japan's always awesome. Let's get to it. We got several nights to cover. Lots of big news. Let's get to it, man.
Let's get to it.
Night one of basically we're gonna cover from Sengoku Lord in Nagoya, which was this past Saturday on 420, bro.
420.
By the way, did you get high?
No,
I didn't either. I'm
straight edge.
I'm straight edge. Yes, straight edge did exist before CM Punk, you fucksticks. Do some fucking research. Yes, I am straight edge, but I am straight edge. I did not enjoy or partake in the Devil's Lettuce, but I did enjoy in some.
I just got high in wrestling.
Yeah, I got high off of life. Got high off of wrestling. Love wrestling. But anyhow, man, this was. I feel like Sengoku Lord has definitely set the pace of what's going to be happening for the next 2 weeks. And one of the most notable things that happened on the undercard was, of course, during a tag match which featured Liger, Toa Henare, Hanma, Nagata, and Kojima against the team of Suzuki-Guns, Taichi, Kanemaru, El Desperado, Taka Michinoku, and Minoru Suzuki. During that match, Suzuki went out of his way to kind of antagonize and torture Jushin Thunder Liger to the point where post-match Liger was pissed. He was you never really see Liger that amped up these days, and he was pissed. He was like, you know what? If you want to fight me, we'll do this anytime, anywhere. I know that I know you're the baddest man, but you know what? If I can beat you, then why don't you retire? And that kind of set something up. Like, wait a minute, are they alluding to like a retirement versus end a career type thing or whatever? Then Suzuki responds like, don't think I forgot about what you said in 2002 when you came to Pancrase and I beat your ass and you said, give me a couple more years, I can do this again. Well, it's been longer than a couple more years. Let's do this. I'm gonna beat your ass. Like, you can't go toe to toe with me. And I really think this is going to be one of the first steps along Jushin Thunder Liger's career, or the what's left of his career rather, or he's going to start getting into some really notable rivalries leading up to Wrestle Kingdom next year, because Wrestle Kingdom, of course, is his last match ever. So
I think it's going to be Suzuki, and then his match with him, somebody else in between, and then Taichi last.
I think Taichi's going to be the guy to retire him.
Yeah, like, I think they're trying to make Taichi kind of like the legend killer. You know what I mean? Yeah, like all the retirement people base him.
You are right, because I mean, he's gone out of his way to antagonize Liger. He's antagonized Toshiaki Kawada in the press, who's famous from All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 90s.
Yeah.
To the point where he wrestles just like him. He uses the same style of kicks. A lot of his offense is now heavy kicking and stuff, which is exactly the way Kawada used to wrestle. I agree. I feel like they're kind of building, Taichi's always been disliked, but I feel like people are liking him more because he's become a better worker.
Yeah.
So he's become a better worker, and I would not be surprised. I think that's a very good assumption on your part that Taichi might very well be the guy to face off Liger in the end. I mean, it's like a slow build.
Yeah.
But until then, I know that Liger said, like, if I can beat you, Suzuki, then why don't you retire? So I wonder if they're going to play that angle where if Suzuki loses, then Suzuki retires. And because I've often wondered, I've often wondered, like, Suzuki is awesome. He's just as awesome as he ever was. I believe he's 50, 51 years old-ish. And I wonder if retirement's in his head.
You don't think it's gonna Liger's gonna retire first and then maybe Tiger Mask and then Suzuki, or maybe not that order?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean,
because it's already all these guys are on their way out.
On their way out, you know, and this kind of goes back to, and kind of to jump to like another topic, is like, this is why I kind of think that as much as I'm happy to see other foreign talent come in, I would like to see other Japanese stars being brought in or being established. You know, like the past 2 years, you've seen Shingo Takagi from Dragon Gate, you've seen Sonata, you know, join LIJ, you know, you've seen several other people kind of build themselves up. I think the heavyweight division definitely needs some newer Japanese talent, you know. But anyway, I kind of going off topic a little bit. I'm excited to see what's going to happen between Liger and Suzuki, because Liger has done shoot style matches in the past.
Yeah, and then you could hear the frustration on his voice when you were talking about earlier that he was asking for Suzuki, like, hey, let's have this fight now. And it seemed like he was shooting a little bit because Suzuki went off on him a little bit during the match.
Yeah, like they kind of like just shooting on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Suzuki's great at playing mind games. He likes to mind fuck, you know, his opponents.
Yeah.
And he definitely got under Liger's skin. And you never see, usually Liger's very calm and collective. I mean, Liger can be fiery. We know this. We've seen in the past he can get fiery, he can get intense. He is a beast in the ring. But this time you can definitely tell he got under his skin a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm really fascinated to see if Liger's going to go back to, I don't know, if he's going to fight Suzuki in a normal traditional wrestling match, or he's going to go back to like what they did in Pancrase and have a shoot style, like a work shoot.
Or I noticed Suzuki was letting his hair grow. What if they do a mask versus hair?
Again? But I mean, it's kind of been done, because I know he had that with Goto, I believe last year. You know, that was a phenomenal match for the record. Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited.
See what happens.
See what else happens. Another thing that was kind of being built up was that the fact that Yano pinned Tonga Loa of the Guerrillas of Destiny, setting up a title match for later on in the weekend.
Yeah.
For the never open weight 6-man tag belts. Another thing that I'm really, really happy to see too is that Dragon Lee is now their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, you know, as of what happened at MSG. And you're starting to see him interact with other Japanese wrestlers more again, because Dragon Lee's always been kind of like, he'll wrestle here, he'll wrestle there, do a tour here, do a tour there. But I feel like he's probably going to be a lot more involved with the roster for the foreseeable future, which makes me so happy.
Yeah. Hopefully they make it permanent.
Exactly. And of course, you know, the Guerrillas of Destiny are on this whole kick about not stealing titles, but collecting titles now.
Yeah, it's funny.
You know, like it's like Tama Tonga is carrying all the belts inside of a sack. Yeah. You know, and he runs away because he doesn't want anybody stealing his treasure. It is pretty.
No, that is the real belt collector, not like Austin Aries.
Yeah, not Austin Aries. It's Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
You know, which is hilarious. I kind of feel like the one thing I have admired ever since what happened with MSG is that Tama Tonga, we all know he's not afraid to speak his mind. He'll say whatever the hell is on his mind. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that he is playing the heel so well. And I know they've also announced that GOD will be defending their belts at the War of the Worlds tour in Ring of Honor, you know, in a couple weeks. But they're so good at being heels, like to the point where they're just diminishing the Ring of Honor world title or world tag team titles. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that, you know, from here on going forward.
Sure.
For sure. And then, of course, you know, another thing that was kind of established later on in the evening was that there was a tag match with Ryusuke Taguchi and Hiroki Goto against Hikuleo and Jay White, further establishing how Jay White thinks that Goto is a loser and wants basically just, like, Goto is just looking for a way to get famous, to get, you know, to bring him to the next level, because Goto has always kind of been an underachiever, according to Jay White. I think Goto has always been, like, at that right there level, you know, like he just needs a little more something to be that superstar. And that's kind of eluded him for several years. I mean, he's had some amazing matches and he's had some titles. He had some success, but I feel like he's always just short.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean like in a Yoshihashi way, because Yoshihashi can't win to save his goddamn life. I'm talking about like Goto is just like, you could see that he's good. He's awesome. It's just he just needs one little thing to put him to that next level.
Yeah, kind of like Ishii.
Exactly. But I feel like the only thing that's lacking with Ishii is that Ishii, I think, needs a run as IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And I know he's a little bit older than everyone else, but he can still go. Goto can still go. So why not? So I'm really excited to see what they do between Goto and Jay White. And I will say Hikuleo is coming into his own. He seemed to move a lot better in the ring. He's obviously healed back from his injury, and I feel like they're definitely trying to build him as like another giant in the promotion. Like, of course, you have
You definitely need it.
yeah, you definitely need it. I mean, of course we have the Rogue General, Bad Luck Fale, but I feel like Hikuleo, he moves faster, he's younger. So, I mean, I'm really interested to see how they use Hikuleo here going on forward. I mean, he definitely he can move.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Lance in a while.
Yeah.
Lance Hoyt.
Lance Hoyt, he's been out for a while.
Yeah.
And whatever else. And then, of course, they seem to be also rebuilding a rivalry between LIJ and Chaos. Because, of course, that featured a match later on in the night with Shoyo, Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Okada against all members of LIJ. Of course, Naito hitting the Destino on Yoshihashi. Could have seen that coming. But there seems to be some sort of building up between all parts of LIJ against all parts of Chaos, which is kind of nice to see that Chaos is kind of, getting their shit together again.
The spotlight again.
Because for a while last year, we kept thinking maybe the Chaos is going to break up.
Yeah.
Maybe now they seem to be kind of like a collective unit once again.
Better.
Absolutely. And up next, we also had a Juice Robinson against Bad Luck Fale defending his U.S. title match. I thought this was a solid match. This is the first time that I felt like Bad Luck Fale, his conditioning was okay.
Yeah. And then Juice is really over with Japanese fans, man.
Oh, man.
Like, they go out of the way. Like, on everyone that comes out, they're kind of relaxed. They kind of just stretch out their arm to get a high five or whatever. But with Juice, they get up. They're trying to maybe hug him or something. Yeah, but that guy's he's over with Japanese fans.
Oh no, he's becoming like a mega star. In fact, I would dare say within the next 2 to 3 years that Juice Robinson might be in contention for the IWGP Heavyweight title within the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen this year. It might not even happen next year. And I think
it's going to take a little bit. Yeah.
And I really think what they really need to do with Juice Robinson is to allow him to carry that U.S. title to mean something. Because I know he's going back and forth a lot between that and Ring of Honor, but allow him to defend that title and to build that title up. Because I feel like with the U.S. title, they built it around Kenny Omega. Omega lost it. They had it with Jay White, and then Jay White lost it to...
it's not getting the heat it needs.
It's not getting the heat it needs. And I think if you do things right with Juice Robinson from here on out, leading up to the G1, it'll mean a lot more. Yeah. But I mean, the fact that he was able to serve Bad Luck, there was a times where I thought Bad Luck was going to he's concentrating on that back a lot, just abusing him. And I really thought, oh man, Juice Robinson might actually lose. And then of course Juice Robinson of course hit him with the hand of God, that awesome left hook.
I like that punch.
I love that
to Roman Reigns' punch.
Yeah, compared to that whole stupid ass Superman punch.
Yeah.
Which should be cool, but it's not. But Juice Robinson was able to pull out the victory with Pulp Friction, surprisingly, because I really thought he was going to lose, in all honesty. But that just kind of builds on the sympathy of the crowd and how much they love Juice Robinson. Yeah. And then last but not least for this night, it was Kota Ibushi defending his IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. What time is it?
Time for Zack Sabre time.
Zack Sabre time. I love it when Taka Michinoku says that. But this match was awesome. I mean, I never expect anything less from Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. They have gone against each other in the past. Zack Sabre, of course, focusing on the neck, trying to pull apart. As with any opponent, he finds different ways to pull his opponents apart to the point where it's uncomfortable to watch at times.
Yeah. But Ibushi's selling is good.
Oh, Ibushi can sell. There was a point where I'm like, oh, okay, Ibushi's going to fucking tap again.
Yeah.
This is it. Okay, Sabre's going to get, the Intercontinental title after one defense. And then Ibushi just kind of snapped out of it and was just slapping and kicking the shit out of Zack Sabre Jr. There was one point where the referee pulled him off and Kota Ibushi was looking at the referee and just kept stomping backwards while Zack Sabre was still on the ground, just kicking him in the head I'm not listening to ref. I'm still going to stomp him while you're telling me not to. And it's I like that Kota Ibushi is becoming a lot more emotional. Shows that he has he can be aggressive. And you've seen that before. And I like how he does make a tribute to Nakamura and does try to hit the Bomaye or the Kinshasa, for WWE fans. Yeah. But I do like that he likes to pay tribute to him. And I'm a big fan of the Kamigoye. I love that knee, But of course, he hit the Kamigoye on Zack Sabre Jr. right in the damn jaw. You saw Zack Sabre Jr. afterwards just holding his face fuck, he just rocked me.
Broke his face.
Following this, of course, Kota Ibushi did make an announcement that he signed for 4 years with New Japan.
4 años.
You know, because the biggest misconception is that a lot of people think, oh well, he's been wrestling the whole time for New Japan. Wasn't he signed? Well, New Japan has a weird way of like doing contracts where only a core group of people have exclusive contracts in New Japan, and then
everything is just independent contract.
Everyone else is like, everyone else is truly an independent contractor. There goes that word again. Where they wrestle for New Japan, yes, but they are free to work everywhere else, depending on the terms of the contract. Kota Ibushi was one of those guys where he had a contract to work for New Japan, X amount of dates, but he was also to free work and work in other places. And for a while, he was working DDT as well, and then he stopped and just focused on New Japan. And then, of course, did AEW, All In last year, and of course took a bit of a hiatus and did wrestle in the Cruiserweight Classic like really 2 years ago at this point. Oh, geez. See,
calm down over there.
Calm down. But yeah, I mean, nonetheless, awesome title defense. And of course, during the press conference after this match, he did say like, I don't want to just be on special events. I don't want to just be on big events. I want you to put me on every show, every night. I want to wrestle every night. I want to be here every night. And that just shows you that he wants to be a fighting champion. He wants to be a fighting champion, and he wants to truly be a part of New Japan. And I really think if you do it right, he can be another pillar of New Japan Pro Wrestling, like Okada, like Naito, like Tanahashi. I genuinely feel that way. I feel if the time to do it is, it's now.
Yeah, give him a long run. Give him a year and a half, maybe.
Give him a long run. Build that title up, and then put him in contention for the IWGP Heavyweight title, just like they did Nakamura. But anyway, up next, April 22nd, Monday, the Road to Dontaku. Now, let me just say also another thing, dude. Is it me, or is like Shota Umino getting buff?
Yeah, like that guy's huge. Every time I see him, he gets bigger.
Yeah, I know. It's like I remember like last year he was scrawny. I mean, dude's packing size, man. Like, and I notice I'm on his Instagram sometimes. He eats a lot.
Yeah,
he's always fucking eating, and I'm like, he has to. He needs the protein. He needs the calories. But every time he comes out lately, I'm like, damn,
it's gonna be like look like Shingo.
Yeah, that's exactly who's going to lean. I was thinking, like, man, which I still don't believe Shingo's a junior heavyweight. Absolutely not. Like you are fucking lying. Like, he is not a junior. You're putting him there because you need him there. Like, he's not a junior. But no, like Shingo, I just want to point that out. Like, Shingo looks awesome. And Shota Umino, is looking awesome. Even though he did lose against Minoru Suzuki, early on in the night. But I just had to point that out. Like, the dude is like becoming like super buff. Yeah, man.
Yes, he is.
There you go, man. And then, of course, later on in the night, of course, we had another LIJ versus Chaos tag team match with Sonata, of course, pinning or making a tap out to the skull end. One of my favorite moves in wrestling right now.
It's like a dragon sleeper. Yeah,
it's like a dragon sleeper with the scissors, which I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And there seemed to be like, I know that they had a match previously the night before, but it seems like there seems to be a rivalry going on between Chase Owens and Mad Mikey Nichols of Chaos.
I don't like it.
Not a fan?
No.
Not a fan of Mad Mikey Nichols, or just not a fan of this rivalry?
No, I'm not a fan of the rivalry, man. I don't know why it seems like just brought on because Finlay's not there and they just had to figure something out with other guys.
I mean, I guess.
To me, but I don't know how you feel about
it. Give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time. I will say that Chase Owens has grown on me. Especially since he had his match against Juice Robinson.
Yeah.
Who's to say that he might actually make was he in the G1 Climax last year? No, right?
G1 Climax? No, I don't think so.
No, maybe this year might be different. Yeah. I'd like to see,
I mean, that package pile driver looks better every time.
Yeah, I mean, I also see that Chase Owens is definitely trying to slim down. You can tell that he's definitely losing some weight. So I don't know. It'd be interesting, but I don't know where they're going with that rivalry between Mikey Nichols and Chase Owens.
It's weird.
It's all right, sure, man, whatever you want to do. But then, of course, one of the main events of this evening was the Never Openweight 6-man tag match between God and their younger brother Hikuleo against the team of Most Violent Players Togi Makabe and Toru Yano and Ryusuke Taguchi. Of course, Togi Makabe hit that gigantic King Kong knee drop on Hikuleo, and they were successful in their second defense. I don't think this is the last time that you're going to see GOD try to get the 6-man, the never open weight 6-man tag belts. I think they're going to probably trade out their brother Hikuleo and maybe pick
Ishimori or something.
Maybe Ishimori, because they've had it with Ishimori before, or Robbie Eagles.
Yeah,
I would even say that maybe Jay White, because I think Jay White is going to be out of the heavyweight title picture for a little while. So I think maybe they'll pick Jay White, and then all three of them will
put him on there.
But because I don't think this is the last time GOD is going to challenge for them again. I just think maybe they're, like I said, their big brother, their big little brother got pinned after the King Kong knee drop. But I don't think this is the last time they're challenging. I just think maybe they're going to be like, all right, brother, you fucked up. We're going to bring in somebody else and bring in Jay White.
Yeah, because this belt collector kind of move or gimmick it's fun.
Yeah.
You're trying to get out just as many belts as you can.
Many belts as I can for GOD.
Yeah.
And why not have Jay White? Why not have Jay White win a lower, not necessarily a lower, but win a belt to add to his resume? Like a more of a mid-card belt.
Yeah. That way he could flaunt about it and say, hey, I got this belt, I got this belt.
I've done it all.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because like I said, I don't think Jay White's, this is not the last time Jay White's going to be IWGP heavyweight champion. He has plenty of time in the business. But why not put him in a tag rivalry?
Man.
It works.
6-man tag. Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Trade out Hikuleo.
Yeah.
Try again with Jay White, and you'll probably end up winning. Absolutely. And then, of course, later on in the evening, it was a special tag match. Speaking of Jay White, with Jay White and Taiji Ishimori against Hiroki Goto and Dragon Lee. This is further build-up of Jay White calling out Hiroki Goto, and Hiroki Goto stepping up to Jay White saying, you know what? You lost your IWGP heavyweight title. Now I'm going to be the one to finish you off. So it's kind of like I hope I know Jay White hit the Blade Runner on Goto in this tag match. And a lot of nice exchanges between Ishimori and Dragon Lee as well. But the thing that I hope happens is that when it comes to the match, that Goto isn't just going to go down. Or if Goto does lose when they go one-on-one, that they make Goto look very, very strong. Because like I said, I like Goto. I like Goto a lot. I really feel like he needs a breakout moment. I think Jay White has plenty of time for plenty of other breakout moments. What's one loss?
I mean, it doesn't look bad on him.
Doesn't look bad on him. And Jay White's still white hot right now. So we'll see how that pans out, man. But I'm really excited to see how things pan out on the road to Dontaku. And then, of course, for Tuesday, April 23rd, at the time of this recording, which is the final night, so far of this week until the weekend, we had a lot more interesting things happen, man. And with this night, it seemed like following, the past two nights of the Intercontinental title being the main event, and then, of course, the 6-man open weight titles being defended, I feel like this next night was kind of like a build up to the weekend, like a little bit of a preview. Of course, you saw you saw Taichi once again, overcome chaos by pinning Rocky Romero as well. For once, Yoshihashi didn't take the pinfall as well. And then, of course, you see like the Bullet Club go up against a mixture of Chaos and New Japan guys with Juice Robinson, Toru Yano, and Togi Makabe. And, of course, Mikey Nichols getting the pinfall over Chase Owens. Like I said, I don't know where they're going with this rivalry between Mikey Nichols and Chase Owens, considering that neither of them have any belts. But, I mean, who knows? You never know what happens. Of course, Hiroki Goto kind of redeeming himself tonight, with him pinning Hikuleo with his GTR, which also an awesome move I love. Simple and awesome. And, of course, this is a tag match, which saw Jay White kind of taunting, Hiroki Goto a lot. So I'm really excited. Like I said, I am very excited to see how that transpires. And then, of course, the main event of this particular evening was Yo and Okada against Bushi and Sanada. Of course, Okada hitting the Rainmaker on Bushi. And, of course, Okada kind of taunting Sanada, because I know they're scheduled to have a title match very soon.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see. We'll see if Sanada can actually. Sanada every time that he's wrestled, Okada has pushed him harder and harder every time, and it just seems like Sanada is always getting close to pinning Okada. Do I think he'll actually do it this time? No, I don't think so. But I think Sanada will have once again a stronger showing when it comes down to it. But this is kind of like a bit of a preview of that. And of course, Okada, of course, talking a little bit of trash to Sanada to get him riled up. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out in terms of Wrestling Dontaku when it all goes down. But
Wrestling Dontaku next week.
Wrestling Dontaku, exactly. But I mean, on the flip side of things, another cool announcement that they made this week was they announced the best of the Super Juniors, the lineup, like who is going to be participating in this tournament. And I am so excited for this dude. Like, the one thing that I love is, like, I've always been a fan of the junior heavyweights and the faster paced style, or what could potentially be faster paced. So apparently,
well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite going in? Like, your personal favorite, and then who do you think will win?
what do you think will win? Well, let me announce it first, because I do have my picks already, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody, because then people are like, wait, what?
Okay, let's
Okay.
make it suspenseful for everybody.
All right. So, okay, apparently, in his 16th appearance, Ryusuke Taguchi will be in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He won in 2012. Tiger Mask, his 18th consecutive year. Impressive. He was the 2004 and 2005 back-to-back winner. Rocky Romero with his 7th appearance, his first appearance in 3 years. Sho and Yo, both, with their second consecutive years, super young guys. Surprisingly, Will Ospreay is going to be in it. I guess because after he won the Never Open Weight, he's still a junior, even though he's competing with heavyweights. This will be his 4th consecutive year.
I think that's a bad move for them. They were trying to build him as a heavyweight, and all of a sudden, boop, he comes back up in junior.
That's the funny. I completely agree with you with that. It's like, okay, you put him in matches against heavyweights, you kind of test him, in the New Japan Cup. He goes pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
He goes toe to toe with Jeff Cobb, and then you're going to put him back in the junior heavyweights. And it's not to say that the junior heavyweights are less important or anything, but I just feel like in terms of how you've booked Will Ospreay, why make him compete in the best of Super Juniors at this point?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a matter of beneath him. No, the best of Super Juniors is a prestigious tournament. It's an awesome tournament. I am not downplaying. This isn't WWE where it's like 205 Live is a bad word. Like, no, the junior heavyweight division is an awesome tournament. It's an awesome division. I just think with the way you've been booking Ospreay, maybe you could have done something different and put somebody else there. Just saying. Because you have been building him. It's kind of like you're teasing him as a heavyweight. So keep pushing that way. Why not?
Yeah, why regress into what he had already done this before?
He's done that before, exactly. So Wichio, of course, is the 2006 winner, and this will be his 4th consecutive year. Taiji Ishimori, his 3rd appearance, but this is his 2nd consecutive year. El Desperado with his 4th appearance. Taka Michinoku with his 7th appearance, his 1st appearance in 2 years. His 3rd appearance and 3rd consecutive year, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, the Master Heel, is what they're calling him now. Bushi, 7th appearance. Flip Gordon, his 2nd consecutive year and his 2nd appearance. 1st appearance in 6 years. Wow, Titan from
Like that
CMLL. I've always been a fan of Titan.
Yeah.
3rd appearance and 3rd consecutive year, Marty Scurll. It's been a while since we've seen him in a New Japan ring.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be pretty awesome. 3rd appearance, 3rd consecutive year, Dragon Lee. Of course, that'll be really interesting to see how far he's going to go and who's going to actually pin him, which will set up his next challenger, I'm sure, post-tournament. And then, of course, Robbie Eagles from the Bullet Club will be making his debut, as well as Jonathan Grisham from Ring of Honor, the Octopus himself. It'll be really interesting to see his submission style clash with a lot of these high flyers. Bandito is also making his appearance. Mm-hmm. Shingo Takagi as well. And apparently there's a competitor, number 20, X. Mr. X, which we all kind of know who it's going to be. Probably the newest member of Bullet Club. So the newest member is going to be, they've been kind of alluding to this. What are you doing over there? Sorry. You break it, you buy it. But anyway, they've been kind of alluding to this. It'll be Riley Vigar, a.k.a. El Fantasma, who is a Canadian professional wrestler, but has been kind of making his name in the United Kingdom, a high flyer. So apparently he's supposed to be the newest member of Bullet Club and another big name for the junior heavyweight division. So we'll see how that goes.
Best way to showcase a guy.
I mean, yeah, they've been doing these vignettes for him for a long time. So we'll definitely see how he does. I mean, he's definitely wrestled in places like Rev Pro, as well as wrestled, in ASW, NWA Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling, and he's made his way. He's had some awesome matches against guys like David Starr, Kyle O'Reilly, to say the least. So we'll have to wait and see how he pans out. But that's the hidden. That's like the wrestler X of the tournament. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, who's he going to be? So it's probably going to be El Fantasma, which I'm excited to see how he pans out in a New Japan ring.
Yeah. Going back to my original question, who's your favorite guy and who do you think is going to win?
This is tough.
From what you know now, because later we'll probably review it again.
I think who's going to take it? I think Shingo Takagi is going to take it.
Uh-huh.
I think they're going to build him up as a solo guy. Because, I mean, at this point, how many times can Bushi and Shingo Takagi challenge for the IWGP Junior Tag belts at this point? And I think Takagi is popular and strong enough by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And also mention, he's also, he wrestled, in the Battle of Los Angeles recently. So it's like, he's a tested tournament wrestler, powerhouse. I think he's going to be the next one to go up against Dragon Lee. That's what I think. So I'm excited.
Mystery.
Exactly. What about you?
Favorite going in, Bandido. Hopefully he does well. But as far as who's going to win, Bushi. I think he's another guy that I want Bushi to do good now, man.
Yeah.
Another guy.
I mean, that's another strong option. I mean, like I said, LIJ is such a strong faction right now.
Mm-hmm.
It probably would help them to kind of boost somebody else to a higher level.
Or just Ospreay, maybe another guy that maybe they're using this as to kind of propel him again. But they keep doing that. That's already like the fourth time?
Yeah, it's like at this point, it's like I think he needs to just give him just give him a couple of pounds, man, and there you go. He's a heavyweight. Like, stop. But I don't know. I have a feeling Takagi is going to be the favorite. I think he's going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super stoked to see Dragon Lee back in it, but I really think that Takagi is going to be the one.
Maybe El Desperado.
I'm excited to see these matches, though. That's for damn sure. These matches are always going to be fun and super entertaining. So, I mean, for me, it's just a matter of like, all right, what's going to happen, going forth. So I'm excited for this part of the year. Outside of the G1 Climax, the Best of the Super Juniors is my other favorite time of year, besides Wrestle Kingdom. And then, to close out, the New Japan news, for those of you guys who have followed New Japan through back in the day, there was an announcement today that both Tomohiro Ishii and Togi Makabe will, of course, be joining a bunch of legends in Riki Choshu's retirement match. And a lot of people who don't know who Riki Choshu is was, of course, one of the biggest names, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Riki Choshu and Tatsumi Fujinami that had a rivalry that pretty much stretched for 37 years since they were young. And ever since, Choshu attacked the Dragon, Tatsumi Fujinami, and formed Ishin Gundam way back in 1982. And Ishii and Makabe have been announced. So basically the teams are going to be, Tatsumi Fujinami, Togi Makabe, and Keiji Muto, a.k.a. the Great Muta, against Riki Choshu, Shinya Koshinaka, and Tomohiro Ishii. Now, Koshinaka, for those of you that don't know, Koshinaka was the guy that who made famous the butt bump. Like that famous move that Taguchi uses now, where he just runs at you with his ass.
Like the hip attack?
The hip attack, yeah. Koshinaka was the guy that kind of started doing that. He was the guy that started doing that. So, of course, apparently this is going to be apparently this match is going to be in Korakuen Hall, and it's sold out. It's been sold out for quite some time. And in fact, this match is going to be set for live viewings in cinemas across Japan.
Man.
That's how big of a deal this is. And Tiger Hattori will, of course, be the referee for this retirement match. And the thing is that this will be a 6-man tag match. And what's crazy to me is that, like, he's already had a retirement on January 4th in 1998 in the Tokyo Dome. But he kind of had like a late career resurgence as a wrestler and a promoter. And then he decided to kind of wrestle on and off since 1998. Mm-hmm. So, but apparently this is going to be it. Like, Choshu versus Fujinami. Both of their respective teams. And of course, it's always fun to see Ishii and Togi Makabe just tear each other's head off. And of course, I know the last thing we saw was that Keiji Muto he came back as the Great Muta, at MSG during that Battle Royal. I would like to see Keiji Muto again in a New Japan ring. But of course, he comes in here representing Wrestle One, which is his promotion. Sonata is his protege, actually. Do you know that?
No.
That's why he does the rolling moonsault in tribute to Keiji Muto as well. And then, of course, it goes without saying that outside of like Antonio Inoki and the Giant Baba, that Tatsumi Fujinami and Riki Choshu are two of the other biggest names in Japanese pro wrestling history. So this is legendary. This is like, for American fans, this is like the equivalent of seeing like this is like pretty much like if you saw right now, if they were, if he was alive, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan have a retirement match. This is one of Japan's equivalents. It's that big. It's that big of a deal. Then, of course, you see how it's rounded out by these other legends, and of course these future legends, that being Makabe and Ishii. So I'm excited, and I definitely will be watching this. I know a lot of people may not be familiar with the work of Choshu and Fujinami. If you don't, educate yourselves, please. Like I said, New Japan did exist before the Bullet Club, people. That's my biggest gripe. We're gonna get to that another day, but that's one of my biggest gripes about everyone's focus on New Japan lately. Is it's like everyone feels nobody realizes the rich history of New Japan prior to 2013, 2012.
Because it's not good.
It's not good, which, I think people need to educate themselves because there's so many amazing legends that built this promotion, that being Fujinami and Choshu. So I will definitely be watching this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stoked. I wish I could be in Japan to watch this myself, because I remember seeing these guys on VHS tapes, back in the day when I would just buy stuff, So I'm pretty stoked to see this happen.
See it, guys.
See it, watch it, whatever else, man. And it'll be dope, man. So
yes, sir.
Let's get down to the indie news, man. Matter of fact, before I jump ahead of myself, we actually, speaking of legacies and building up a legendary, here we are talking about guys like Riki Choshu and Keiji Muto and Tatsumi Fujinami, guys that have built their legacies off of greatness. But one of the things that I love about our show is that we definitely give a platform to up and comers and guys who are hungry, guys and gals who are hungry, that are out there working their asses off. And we were fortunate enough, courtesy of Texas Wrestling Entertainment, to interview an up and comer here in Texas by the name of Alex Arsenal. And we had a very long and productive and wonderful conversation about how he views wrestling, what he wants for his career, and we also talked about, like our perceptions of like what's wrong with wrestling, how things have changed, how things are now, how veterans view the business compared to how he views the business. And it was a really interesting conversation. In fact, we talked to him for about an hour.
That was a long conversation, but I loved it, man.
Yeah, like I said, Alex Arsenal, in my opinion, is one of the most personable and down-to-earth people I have met since we started doing this podcast. And we met a lot of amazing, great people. Mm-hmm. Like, Shotzi Blackheart, Ruben Steele, just to name a few. But like Alex Arsenal, I will flat out say, and Roxy. I've praised nothing but great things from up and comer women's wrestler Roxy, but Alex Arsenal, it definitely is one of those guys, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying this because we interviewed him. He has an it factor. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that it is. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not a trainer. I'm just a mark. I'm a fan. But I don't know if you got that vibe too.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he just has there's something about him. Like you could see that he has this passion about business. Like he loves learning, mm-hmm. and he wants to grow. And of course, he had some previous experiences with going down to NXT, as well as even doing a tryout for All Japan Pro Wrestling. And even though he's even said that a lot of his influences come from WWE, as most kids here in America, the one thing that he did talk about was just how much of respect that he did have for the Japanese style and how different it is, and how he just wants to learn as many different styles as he can. He says he wants to go to Mexico one day to learn to wrestle down there. And he just says, whatever I can do to, grow as a performer, as a wrestler, as an entertainer, he wants to do. So it's so awesome to see somebody so hungry. You know what I mean?
He's so hungry and so professional. The way, the vibe I felt from him when he was sitting here. And that's another point. He was here at Tiger Driver Studios, which was cool.
Yeah. This is the first time we've ever had somebody here in our studio space.
But that guy is super professional. And yeah, every time I seen him wrestle, he has that. And we don't know what it is, but it's there.
It's something. It's something. And it's crazy to see that, because it's like, you never know. That's one thing I love about independent wrestling at this level, is that people are on their way up and some people are on their way down. Mm-hmm. And you see some pretty magical things on the independents, and who's to say that in years from now, Alex Arsenal might not be at a WrestleMania, or he might not be, somebody wrestling in Korakuen Hall, mm-hmm. or Royal Albert Hall in England, or in Arena Mexico, or in Ring of Honor. Like, you don't know. We don't know that, but it'll be cool to know. It'll be cool to see his career grow. And I can definitely, having seen him wrestle several times already, I'm really excited to see his career progress. And on that note, we are going to give you part 1 of our interview with Alex Arsenal, because this is a very long interview. So we decided we're going to give you a little bit this week. We don't want you to spoil your appetite for next week. We're going to give you half of it today and then half of it next time. So you got to tune in, because I promise you will not want to miss this interview. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, our conversation with up-and-coming wrestler Alex Arsenal. Welcome to another awesome interview with Tiger Driver Radio. As you all know, we love our Japanese Pro, we love Ring of Honor, we love the Indies. but we always take a lot of pride in giving anybody that's up and coming a platform to say what they have to say, their opinions, their perspectives, what they think. And we have an amazing up and comer that has been making his rounds on the indies here in Texas and a little bit elsewhere for just about the past 2 years, a little under the past 2 years, and we are pleasantly surprised to get him. Would you please introduce yourself, sir?
Thank you very much. Alex Arsenal here. So yeah, that's right. About 2 years into the business, based out of San Antonio here, getting to go all around Texas. I believe I'm about 50, 60 matches in, doing great, loving it. Got my merch, got my shirts and everything, so feeling like a big time guy. And then I got a couple matches coming up real soon. Things are getting busy. Things are taking off.
I mean, it's always better to be busy than not busy, ultimately.
Yeah, I would say so, for sure.
Absolutely.
In this business especially.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing that there's been a kind of a reoccurring theme that has kind of been stated and overstated by other wrestlers from the top to the bottom is how now more than ever, there seems to be a big wrestling boom. And what is your perspective on that so far?
Yeah, okay. So the thing I've heard from multiple guys who've been around for a long time is that it comes and goes in waves, right? So
yeah.
I haven't been there for any of the other waves as I'm new to the business, but as a fan, I think I've seen that as well. And we could debate where those waves were and how big they were, but I think everyone's in agreement we're in the middle of a boom right now, like you said, the upside of one of those waves. And what's different about this one from what people have told me is it goes all the way down to the bottom of the indies, all the way up to the top of the biggest companies in the world, right? So everybody, for whatever reason, everybody's benefiting this time around.
Yeah.
And so everyone keeps telling me this is the time, which makes me extremely grateful. I mean, I guess as far as I know, I couldn't have picked a better time to get into the business.
Oh, absolutely. Now, with the boom of the business happening, that provides obviously a lot more opportunities for people to work, from the top all the way down to the very bottom. And you are just, I believe, at 2 years, you said?
Yeah, 2 years of training.
2 years of training.
Getting punched in the face. But about literally 3 days from now will be my 1 year since my first official match.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So 1 year in is usually what I've been telling people.
Absolutely. And the one thing, as there's been a lot more opportunities, what is one thing that you feel could be a detriment to wrestlers because there's so many other opportunities to work? Because I heard the plus side, while it's great for everybody, more money, more opportunities, more exposure, do you think there's any downside to that as well?
I don't know. I think different people have different opinions on that. One of the downsides could be oversaturation, I guess. There's a large supply right now for wrestlers, but there's also a large demand. Maybe you have too much demand at some point. Another thing, like any other economy, there's got to be a downturn eventually too, which always makes me feel like, okay, well, maybe I needed to be a few years earlier, so I was really already, well versed and well experienced when this boom comes. If it's going to be a short boom, that could be a negative thing for me for sure. But otherwise, I think it's only a good thing. I mean, again, each of these, if you're going to be a historian about it and look back at these positive, these waves where things have done really well in the past for wrestling, sometimes they last a really long time. And I don't think they necessarily have too many negative side effects. It's just a natural cycle. So I think it's good. I'll have to tell you in another year or two if it turns out to be a good thing for me. But I think it's positive just because of the opportunities that are out there. There's
Seems like a great thing because local indie shows are always full of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was another thing I was always reading about and hearing in interviews is that would be an issue, is you're going to be in the bingo hall in front of 20 people. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've had that, and I'm grateful for those experiences as well. But I know I'm also grateful that only 1 year in, with as few matches I've had the opportunity to be in front of a couple hundred people a bunch of times, and I know that's only because the business is doing so well right now.
No, absolutely. Now, with the business doing so well, like, I know everybody has these goals. Every wrestler has certain goals. Has there been any opportunities thus far, even though it's only been very short for you, has there been any opportunities thus far that you've tried to pursue or that you would like to pursue in the immediate future?
Yeah. So, of course, I would imagine any other industry, the same issue is, try not to get ahead of yourself, or, you want to be ambitious, but when are you ready for this opportunity? When are you ready for that opportunity? Well, at this point, I'd say the last few months, I've gotten the confidence of, okay, let's go shoot for the stars. If it it doesn't happen, I want to know why, and I'll get better. So on that note, I've had 2 major tryouts in the last month, basically.
Okay.
So I'll talk about the second. Well, I don't know. Both of them are probably pretty interesting to you. The most recent one in Florida for WWN. So they're sort of an umbrella company for like Evolve and a couple other.
Of course, with the Dragon Gate USA and everything else like that.
Pro. And so they had a big 3-day clinic / tryout, and I got to meet a bunch of NXT coaches.
Cool.
And learn different things from different ones of them. And I got time in the ring with a couple of them, and got to have a big tryout match for them and everything. And again, you can say whatever you want about a guy being only 1 year in and trying that, but I was willing to just have everyone, crap all over everything I do and tell me what's wrong so I can fix it and get better. And that was an incredible experience, and that's what I got out of it. And totally awesome. Made all the networking and everything, learning meeting all those new people. But then about a month before that, I was doing an All Japan tryout in California, actually. So San Jose.
Sweet.
If fate couldn't have had it any different, it was almost walking distance from my brother's apartment. He lives out there. He's a programmer for LinkedIn. So I was like, well, this has got to mean something. So I'm gonna go.
So All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So okay. Oh wow, because that's really interesting, because I've noticed within the influx in the past couple of years with New Japan wanting to do basically a Western expansion.
Yeah,
I've noticed as well that other Japanese promotions are starting to follow suit and bring more foreigners. Like I'm seeing Dragon Gate. Dragon Gate's always brought in foreign. I mean, Ricochet made his home. Apollo Crews made his home there for a while, and I've noticed now they're starting to be more open to bringing other foreigners. And then New Japan has always had this history of being very picky with foreigners. Like back in the day, there was only a couple of foreigners. It'd be Stan Hansen, Johnny Ace, and then Gary Albright, and just a very select few of foreigners. But I've noticed that for that time, and even up till now, like still a very small number of rough foreigners in All Japan. And what was your experience like for All Japan? Because like I said, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah. So I know just from being a fan that was something that I thought I'd be a good fit for, having trained under Rudy Gonzalez. Old school, classic, technical wrestling, right? Footwork, things like that are so valuable. And I figured, well, that's something that they're known for as well. And so I got to meet Tajiri, Ultimo Dragon, a couple other guys were there scouting for him, and met a couple of the local promoters that they work with in California there. And then a bunch of, the talent that was there, like I said, should have probably been really intimidating. Mm-hmm. I was of the mindset that that's awesome that I'm around these guys and I'm going to learn from them. Yeah. And if they're 10 times better than me, then that's great. This is where I need to be, right? So ended up having a tryout match in front of them, 6-man tag match. One of the guys I worked against was Nobi Clark from here in Texas, and he ended up getting the contract, and I think pretty soon he'll be doing a 2-month tour with them, something like that.
Oh, wow.
And so it was great to work with him. I know this is it, part of it's just chance, but also I like to think that, I provided a lot of value in that match that, and he ended up getting picked maybe because of me, who knows. But like I said, I got a lot of experience out of it. Got to meet those guys, and then just got to experience one of my first doses of the slight differences you see in Japanese wrestling and what they want. Something I'd love to delve into.
And what difference did you notice in comparison to in so far that you had just here in America? Because I also feel like with training down here in Texas, the style isn't quite as pure as just American wrestling, quote unquote. It's there's a lot of lucha influence down here.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and I'm it's weird because I think they were looking for different, if that makes sense. Yeah. A lot of the guys that they really liked, including some lucha guys, I think that's to an extent what they wanted. But I could tell, like I thought going into it, it's a combat sport. It's going to be very technical,
hard hitting.
There is what you could call flashiness. There's a place for it there for sure. Mm-hmm. But I would say flashiness in the moveset, and more so, and less so in the personas. Right? That's not the primary focus. That should come second, right after a great match with a great moveset. And that's a slight difference than you'll get in any American wrestling, and I think lucha as well. In that the characterization, the personalities, the larger than life personalities matter so much, because it is first and foremost a show, whereas most Japanese wrestling companies, and I think All Japan is probably one of the best examples. It's got to be its sport first and foremost. And
Absolutely.
So I liked it. I mean, I really, really liked it. And then, hard hitting. We could go there for sure. There a lot of painful strikes going on for sure. But nothing makes you as a wrestler feel more like you're in the midst of it than someone just punching you right at the beginning, just laying you out. And then, like I said, a little bit less. Okay, I'm gonna go run and do a double backflip or whatever. When there's time for that, there's time for that. But man, it's a lot of strikes, a lot of basic grappling, and a lot of fundamentals, which again worked really well for me because of where I train. That's what we focus on.
Focus on the fundamentals, exactly. And speaking on that tangent of fundamentals, a lot of people have said that with the overabundance, I'm not going to say overabundance. I'm just going to say with the abundance of wrestling now, everybody's trying so hard to stand out.
Yeah.
So in America, it usually comes down to character, gimmick, or how flashy you are. And within that flashiness, some people, even veterans, have said that the one thing that's being lost in this current generation is A, the storytelling, and B, a grasp of the fundamentals. And although, like I said, you're very young in your career, is that something that you've also heard many times from your mentors as well?
Yeah. So from Rudy Boy Gonzalez over and over again every night of my life for the last 2 years, for sure. But then also, again, at the WWN tryout, again, there were NXT coaches there, and I got exactly what I expected from them as far as, your footwork matters. We don't care about the double backflip right now. Like, let's see the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And that is something I think, not to speak ill of anyone in particular, but the reason for that may be getting lost so much now is, again, the abundance. There you go. Maybe that's a better answer for your earlier question.
Yeah.
One of the negative parts to it is if you ask an old timer, a veteran, it used to be really, really hard to get into this business. And it's still a very, in my opinion, very difficult business to do and to succeed in, of course, but it just is not nearly as hard to get into. So the negative side effect there is there's a lot of places to go learn wrestling that may not be from coaches or people who are super experienced or well learned themselves or have been successful
or sound in what needs to be taught.
Therefore, not going to be sound in the basics, and so they don't just like having maybe a personal trainer who doesn't know much about exercise, but they're real muscular themselves because they've done whatever works for them or whatever. So they have something that works for them, but they're not maybe the best coach or teacher. So at the end of the day, that would be a negative side effect of having 4 or 5 schools in almost every major city that I know of now, which is not what it used to be. And if you've got the money for it, you're in. That's about it now.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, that's always kind of been something I've heard from other veterans, from other veterans in the business online through like shoot interviews and so on and so forth. And even from other friends of mine who have been in the business saying that, the biggest problem is that A, nobody knows how to tell a story, and B, fundamentals seem to be getting lost because everyone wants so hard to stand out and be the next Kenny Omega or the next Young Bucks or, Will Ospreay. And not that I'm saying and this also, this will also go into another thing that I wanted to ask you about as well, is that with guys like that, of course, right now you have so many different styles that are being exposed. You got like the flippy floppy high flying style. You have, guys like Zack Sabre Jr. who are, or Timothy Thatcher that are super technical, ground and pound. And then, guys like Kenny Omega who are just innovative and can just pull offense out of nowhere. Do you think that because everyone's trying so hard that they are not only losing their fundamentals, but also trying too hard to also copycat a personality as well?
Yeah, for sure. Again, there's another negative side effect of the overabundance, I think, with so much wrestling. Just by being an industry that's been around for so long now, whatever 100, 150 year history it's got, it's going to get trickier then to stand out from people in the past and be different. But I have heard from a lot of people that, what's old is new again, and, what's new is old, and the cycle goes on.
Exactly.
And so that's okay. You don't always have to be totally different from everyone who's ever come before you. But when you've got such a heavily saturated business currently, you do want to be different from everyone else who's around now, maybe. And that gets more difficult when you have so many people doing so many things in so many places. And it's no longer just you telling your friend what you saw at the local show last night, or maybe a picture, or maybe something in the news. It's all online. So you yourself can see it all. So that makes it even harder than to stand out because you have seen it all as a fan, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Do you stand out with your name?
What's that?
Your name is awesome.
Yeah,
Alex Arsenal.
I haven't run into that issue yet. Something they were calling me when I very first started was Maverick. That was the last name. And within a week or two, I found out there were 3 other Mavericks in the business. One that's here in Texas. And, okay, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, so never mind.
Never mind on that. But yeah, so Arsenal, and then Alex in the business. There's a lot of, if you go through and you do your research, there's a lot of women Alexes right now.
Yeah.
It's a unisex name, but for whatever reason, I haven't found a lot of guy Alexes. So Alex Arsenal, the alliteration, I think it works well, and the metaphor behind it, if you will, behind Arsenal was my hope that I could, if not now, within time, be well versed in all the styles, which sounds like something anyone would say. I want to be good at all this stuff, but I felt like that was something with my ambition I could do, and I have a background. Before I wrestled at all, I had a background in amateur wrestling in high school, but also in parkour, where we do all the flippies and all that good stuff, and then a little bit of MMA, where I got some striking. I was like, okay, if someone could do it, I think perhaps I could do it. So in a lot of my matches, you'll notice either an attempt at covering all the styles within the match, or something I like to do a lot is take the other guy's style and try and outdo them, and that works great, or I fall flat on my face trying to do it. But that's where Arsenal comes from.
It could work both ways, because on one hand, it's like if you use, let's say you were in a match with Okada and you use the Rainmaker, everyone's like, whoa, oh my god, he used his own move against him. And then on the flip side, it would also put a lot of heat on you against a huge babyface, like, oh, how dare he use the Rainmaker. And then on the flip side, if it also, you do it on somebody and mess it up, it's like people laugh like, oh, ha ha ha. Like it could be kind of like a comedy angle, which is, I think, also another aspect of wrestling I think is kind of becoming a lot more popular now, as people like doing comedy matches.
Yeah, for sure. It's just another way to stand out, and it's working for a lot of guys, and more power to them for sure. There's an element of that in a lot of my matches so far, for sure. But I thought to myself that it may sound subtle, but it's a subtle way to stand out, in that most wrestlers, when they're out there, their motivation should be to win the match. If they're the hero, they're doing it because, out of pride, and that's the right thing to do in their competitive spirit. If they're the bad guy and you're booing them, they're probably there for the money. They're going to do whatever it takes to win the money. And I think it could work both ways, whether you like me, whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy, whether you like me or hate me. I think the motivation being more ego-based, if you will, about no. Yeah, I want the money or whatever, but it's whatever you can do, I can do better, and that goes both ways. I think there's something admirable to it, for sure. Maybe I'm way bigger than the other guy, way stronger. I could just squash him. I could squeeze him like a bug. But if he's a high flyer, well, shoot, let's make it fair. I'm gonna out high fly you. But on the other end, it's also very arrogant and very cocky that, okay, whatever you can do, I can do better, even though I should just be trying to win, right? Because the lesson you're going to teach to a little kid when watching that match isn't always the best of like, oh, you got to outdo the other guy, his thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it works both ways.
Yeah, but also it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how it's a component of storytelling. I mean, of course, it's always important to work the arm and, sell the arm and stuff like that, but to also tell a story with how you act in the ring, which goes back to characterization of who you're representing in the ring. With that being said, do you feel that nowadays face and heel is non-existent, or it's just a matter of how you play to a certain crowd?
I think it's way less existent. I don't know whether it should be or shouldn't be. I've had many conversations about this just recently. I think because it's so much wrestling is so focused on the moves and the moveset, like we were just talking about, a lot of matches are just two guys that aren't necessarily one or the other. They're just trying to look, I can do this, and then I can do this, and then
outdo each other.
Yeah, and outdo each other, which is what my Alex Arsenal is entirely based around for the most part. But I think that can work well. I think it's probably overdone a lot. I think again, a lot of the way I've been raised in this business is the old stuff, the old formula works really well. Mm-hmm. Really, what people come there to do is get emotionally invested, and you can't usually just do that from two guys trying to do better moves than the other. You want a story to be told to you, and the oldest story in all of human history is just going to be good versus evil.
Absolutely.
Right? So that is missing a lot in this business, I think. It's not my place to say it this early into the business, but that's the opinion that's been given to me by a lot of guys, and I can see that already. Wow, these guys would have a much more entertaining match, or the audience would be much more invested in this if perhaps there was more going on than just who can do the higher drop kick. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think the fans dictate a lot of who's the heel and the face, because like we were talking about earlier about the abundance, like the fans are like would start cheering for the wrong person instead of, oh, this guy is supposed to be the heel. Like, what happened there?
Yeah, and then the age-old argument of, well, I mean, they paid their money to see
Yeah.
it, for sure. My philosophy on that, and I won't say what show I was at recently, where, you know, one singular fan was kind of going against the grain on every single match and being pretty loud about it. And I thought, well, in that case, he may be kind of negatively affecting the other people who have paid their money to see the match. But otherwise, if collectively, if a large group of people are booing the good guy, whatever, that's they paid their money, and then that's the point of pro wrestling. That's what you get from pro wrestling that you don't get from theater or from movies or anything. You can affect it. You really can. Whether you think you affect the match, you affect the vibe, you affect the long-term career of guys. And so, yeah, I mean, I had my first dose of that in Austin as a pro wrestling religion show, and again, there were 5 guys out in the audience with my shirts cheering for me. I'm from Austin originally, so I was the hometown hero. Lots of people cheering for me, making lots of noise, and I think maybe it was too much for some people. Yeah. So there was a group of fans there that did not like me about halfway through the match, unless I did something else that I don't know. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's why. And you know, sometimes it can be frustrating, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, that's what's awesome about pro wrestling. They totally turned on me and were totally for the other guy, no matter what that other guy said to them negatively, no matter what he called them, they were eating it up and they loved it. Yeah. And that's fine. That's what you get to do with your price of admission.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And to kind of caveat of what GCJ was saying about the whole how fans control, you know, at times matches or the interpretation of matches. Have you ever encountered to where you thought you were doing something in a match, whatever it is, whether it was a move or just interaction, and it backfired and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, huh? Like, that didn't work?
Yeah. Okay. So as a whole, that match was a good example for sure. Yeah. The intention of the whole match, you know, backfiring at least with those guys. As far as individual, moves and stuff, I would say that for sure there have been duds. There have been moments where I thought would be a lot more exciting, captivating for them, and it didn't seem to go. You know, no one seemed to care, right? Yeah. And that's just me learning what's going to work and what's not. And you know, a more experienced veteran is going to be much better at changing gears or switching to something else. A newer guys are going to be a little bit more stick to what you wanted to do initially. And so that's something I'm learning. A great example would be, we're talking about styles earlier. I've got the opportunity to work some real lucha shows in Houston. We're talking, I might be the only non-Hispanic guy in the building. One of the only guys that speaks English. Not one of the only guys that doesn't speak Spanish. One of the only guys that speaks English. Period. Very luchador shows, and that's awesome experience for me. I see it as a practice run for Mexico, which I'd love the opportunity to go work there. But I mean, it's just such a different style, and sometimes huge ways that you could think of ahead of time, and other ways not so much, subtle stuff. So I've done some what's stereotypical of luchador, big old flips and stuff, right? So I've had moments where, you know, big backflip off top rope, other guy moves, land on my feet, real impressive thing. I look around, no one cares. They've seen it, either they've seen it a million times or that's not what they're there for. And sometimes then something really simple that I do, you know, get the guy and chop him, and then everyone loves it, right? And so okay, oh shoot, that's not what I thought. So exactly. It didn't work, but that just comes down to being new and needing to learn new styles from different places, different crowds.
No, I mean, absolutely. It's like I said, it's just, if you go to Japan and stuff like that, sometimes the character thing isn't really what people are going for. It's like, if you're we're kind of like, I know me and GC were talking about this, how sometimes I feel like certain styles or certain methods to interact with the crowd can get lost depending on the audience, where it's like, we talked about this, how I was in Madison Square Garden last week at the G1 Supercard, which is an amazing experience. And the one thing I was shocked about was how you had a Four Corners tag team match with the Guerrillas of Destiny and Villain Enterprises and all those guys, and it was just spot fest after spot fest, just guys just brutalizing each other and the crowd just going nuts. And then of course you had Enzo and Cass XL run in, and that was a controversial sports entertainment kind of moment. But then right after that you go into Tanahashi, who was like, you know, the biggest name in Japan for the past decade, against Zack Sabre Jr., and it was strictly 90% of the match was on the mat. It was strictly mat wrestling, chain wrestling, just nothing but submissions. Tanahashi trying to find his way out of Zack Sabre's like submission style wrestling, and the crowd was eating it up. And I'm like, I would not expect it. I'm shocked that this crowd was eating this up. Like this could have been very well Ricochet and Ospreay number 3.
Yeah.
And their reaction was just the same as if it was something like that, which was strange to me because usually a lot of American audiences typically don't react well to just strictly submissions and unless you go to UFC, which that's the audience that you're aiming towards. But I was shocked that you go from something super spot heavy to then something that's just strictly technical. And I'm like, I was dumbfounded. I'm like, either A, this crowd is way too smart, or it's like either A, it's too smart, or B, I think people just appreciated something different. And I know before we started recording, we kind of started talking about where things might go in terms of what's different. And maybe we can kind of caveat off that and what's your thought about something as to why people will react so well to like a spot fest and then react just as well to something that's so submission and ground based.
Well, yes. I mean, specifically in regards to that, I think that's great storytelling. It has to do with both their characters and what they can do and what they would do up against each other. So it's more of a long-term storytelling too. And I think the spot fests, as you put it, are aiming towards a different demographic. I don't even want to say casual fans. I want to say new fans. So that's why spot fests are so common from the indies all the way up sometimes to the big companies, is because the goal is growth and expansion. So in order to get brand new people interested, they're just not going to be interested in a technical submission match if they've never watched wrestling. They have no idea who these guys
are. It's like we want an oh wow moment.
Right, yes. They want all this boom, 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 boom. So that's probably why spot fests are so common. And then if you are a wrestling fan, you do watch it all the time, you don't always want to see that same thing. You want to see this real technical match, and especially in this case where it makes so much sense that these two guys would be doing that to each other. And again, so as far as people, the established audience, wrestling fans who are already wrestling fans, from casual to hardcore, I think that's the direction it's going in, is more legitimate MMA type strikes and holds and things like UFC. Probably, again, because of what I said earlier, you can see all of it now. Right? So wrestling itself has had to change a lot because of that. Because I think the best way to word it is you can't get emotionally invested in it when it looks so different from MMA, because now you're just not going to buy into it. You just, when you don't, I haven't seen a lot of guys climb up to the top of the cage and do a double backflip in UFC. So if I see that happen in wrestling, sometimes that's probably going to take me out of it, especially for a newer fan, who's looking for something more similar to UFC, because you want to see these two guys legitimately, whether they legitimately hate each other or they're just legitimately trying to win. You want to see them be competitive, and you want to see it be, is a weird word to use, testosterone-y almost more, right?
Yeah.
Between these two guys, and you just don't get that feeling if it's too much like gymnastics or ballet, for sure. So I think maybe these matches with no ropes, right, where you're not going to be running and hitting ropes because they're not there, and it's going to look more like blood sport, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be a lot more common, most likely. I mean, we'll see. Maybe that won't end up working out. But I think for recapturing the interest of already established fans, I think that's a big way to do it. And that may, if done right, that may be a great way to bring in new fans, like I said, because it's more familiar to what they would have already seen in boxing or UFC.
Absolutely. Because it's funny, like I said, with of course, wrestling going in waves, there also seems to be different trends within those waves of like what's popular at the moment. Like, 2 years ago, everyone is freaking out about the Ospreay Ricochet thing.
Yep.
The year before that was the Bucks and how they were like, whoa, like tag team wrestling is on fire again. And now I've noticed there seems to be a bigger appreciation for submission style wrestling, which is, I never thought I would see that in America. I mean, because outside of UFC, that's what you're there for. You're there for that. So that is your audience. They know what they're going to watch. That's what they go there for. They want to see submissions, striking, blood, et cetera, et cetera. But in pro wrestling, at least in North America, it's also different. Also, on top of that, women. Yeah, the growth of women is that's a big focal point these past couple of years. And what are your thoughts right now, especially with you also be working with women? What are your thoughts on intergender wrestling?
I don't know. In my short time so far, I haven't, outside of training, I haven't had personal experience with that. I'm actually scheduled for an intergender tag team match in a month or two at a Lucha show. So I'll report back to you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
I think it's part of the evolution of the business. It's natural, as well as just the women's evolution in and of itself, right? Being more prominent and more focused on. I think if it tells a good story, then I think it has a perfect place. I don't think that it's an issue. I think a lot of people do, especially old school mentality, do have an issue with it, just because they feel like it doesn't tell as good of a story sometimes. And if you want to get into it specifically, it's the same issue of having the real small cruiserweight take on the giant. Like, you got to work really hard to make that story captivating and make it make sense. And so sometimes you can have that same issue with women fighting men, for sure. But I think, like I said, with the right characters and the right story in place, I think it's really interesting, and I think it's going to just happen more and more, whether you like it or not, in this business, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking about stories, is it hard to? I heard some few people say that it's hard to get heat nowadays, or to get people invested in a match. And the reason I was asking you about that, because I think the last time I saw you in a match was in TWE, and right here in the San Antonio Food Bank.
Okay.
And one of the person you were having the match against, I think his name was Sears or SARS.
Aaron Saras. Yep.
Yeah. And I think he grabbed one of your fans' shirts and then he threw it on the floor, and I was like, oh.
Over the summer, I want to say July.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't very popular. I mean, that's a way to do it, for sure. That was my girlfriend holding my shirt up.
Yeah.
Which makes it even worse. So she was waving it in his face, and he took it from her, and I think he choked me with it for a little while.
Yeah.
Had me on the outside. So yeah, that definitely angered me a little bit. I think it angered a lot of the fans.
Yeah.
And so that is what you would call heat, for sure. I think in his case, it takes more creativity these days than it did before. And that's a whole nother thing about what things are easier to do now, which things are harder to do now, for sure. But I think that one's pretty well agreed upon, is to get people to not cheer you, but be good at. I mean, it's so hard to be good and then not get cheered, because a lot of wrestling fans just want to cheer someone who's doing great at whatever they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line there, and I think there's some examples from what I've seen personally in the indies all the way up to the big companies on TV as to someone still having that heat, and how to do it. I think is different in every case. I certainly don't have that formula yet.
Yeah.
But to me, that's extremely captivating, because again, I love the storytelling aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I know it's great to be liked in anything in life, and it's great within wrestling to have people want to buy your merchandise and stuff, but nothing excites me more personally than truly living that role, whatever side you're supposed to be on. So I mean, if you're supposed to hate me, I want you to hate me.
Yeah.
And I'm not great at it yet, but that's something I would love to get great at. And again, he did great on that night, and that's one way to do it. I had a little bit of a hometown crowd there, and so they definitely didn't like seeing him do that. But that's the kind of stuff I appreciate for sure, is that commitment to that type of thing. One of my favorite things I've ever heard, I don't know, I guess maybe I read this somewhere. Jericho said one time he was in the elevator with the kid and his dad, and they asked for him to sign the shirt, and he's a big bad guy on TV. This was like one of his hottest runs, and he said nope, not doing it. And he just stood there and wouldn't look at him the rest of the time in the elevator. And he said that may not sound like a big deal, but that was the worst he's ever felt in his life. But he was so committed to it, and I love that, because again, that's what's so great about pro wrestling is the lines. There is no line. It's not about blurred lines. There is no line. It doesn't exist. There's no
fluid,
cut, right? So we are simultaneously ourselves, and we're this character, and we are who you think we are, but we're not at all who you think we are, or whatever. And you have to find that balance. But because there is no line, it's extremely unique. I don't think there's anything else like that. You can watch a movie and there can be a super evil Nazi guy, and then when they hit cut and it's over, if anybody dislikes that guy, that's kind of weird. Like he's just playing, he's reading a script.
Yeah.
He's just he's not. Hopefully, he doesn't really. He's not that evil.
But it shows you that he's good.
Yeah. But then in wrestling, we got to be a little more responsible for what we say. Modern day, that's whole nother issue in of itself, because we are. There's no exact line. There's no. Oh, I was just in character. That's why I said all those terrible things about that race or something. Like you don't get that leeway in wrestling necessarily, but it's cool because again, you are always on to some extent. I think you're always part of who you are in the ring, and so it's extremely unique. Because then even outside the ring, in that moment in the elevator, they somehow changed probably his performances going forward after that.
No, absolutely.
It's really, really cool.
With that being said, like, would you say, people always say, to caveat off that kayfabe is dead.
Yeah.
I've always felt I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it just takes a lot more ingenuity to navigate kayfabe, especially with social media. Yeah. So I mean, what is your take on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's basically what I said earlier. There's a lot of different opinions on how the industry has changed, what's easier to do, what's harder to do, but what is much more complex right now is kayfabe. So I think with social media, that's a whole nother element too. When are you on? When are you off? When are you responsible for being on based on your contract or what you're getting paid or whatever? And it's different for everybody, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, I think, again, it's just that's why pro wrestling will never go away, or at least it doesn't look like it ever will.
Yeah.
It's so unique in that sense. So whether or not it's dead doesn't seem to be hurting the business too much. And I think the fear for a lot of old timers and veterans and stuff is that it will eventually. But again, I think that's also a strength that pro wrestling has because it's such a unique element. There's nothing else like that. And so I think there's a lot of growth that's coming out of that, because also we live in the era where you want to know everything about that quarterback on your NFL team or whatever, that reality star.
Or what's he up to?
So you get that in wrestling now, which you didn't always get at the, so you get all that behind the scenes for the most part, but it doesn't seem to be killing anything business wise, I don't think, because people are still paying money now more than ever to come see it, because again, it's just almost like the story has just expanded. So now that guy doesn't just walk through the curtains and you never hear from him, see from him ever again. You follow his whole life practically. And when those things that happen in your real life end up affecting you in the ring and your the way that your career goes, that just makes it even deeper and richer, I think.
I completely agree, because like I said, I feel like kayfabe is not dead. It's just metamorphosized into something different now. So I feel like anybody who's able to kind of balance between maintaining a little bit of that kayfabe outside of the ring and also managing their social media, if they use social media, that they could do it so well. Because I mean, to be quite honest, I know that you and I talked about this last year when we first met, GCJ, is that we were all completely tricked that Jericho showed up in New Japan, because for the longest time he's like, no, I'm never going to go there. Why would I go there? I'm a WWE guy. That's it. Where lo and behold, months leading up to it, he was probably negotiating his contract, and then bam, he shows up, has that match in the Tokyo Dome, and you're like, whoa, what? And all because even as fans were egging him on online, he's like, no, dude, I'm not doing it. Stop asking. And but he maintained it. It's like you said in the elevator, that kid's like, oh, I want an autograph. He's like, nope, not doing it. So I kind of agree with you in the sense of it just takes a lot more creativity to navigate it, because like I said, fans I think are a little too smart for their own good sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And there's negative, we could go off on a whole thing about there's negative parts to that for sure too. The one thing I'll say now that I'm experiencing all the pain, the bumps and the bruises and stuff is I haven't had this feeling myself, but when I watch other guys, someone does a suplex on a legit steel ramp or something, and then their back's all messed up in the back, and I see nobody react to it. That's never going to be the fans' job, don't get me wrong, but that is an example of something that if that happened in 1978, it would be a huge,
it's like, oh my god, he did that.
God. Yeah, right. So we do have to change how things go, because now there has to be way more meaning behind it. You can't just suplex a guy on
just to do it
and just have people react, because they will literally just keep staring at their phones unless it means something, unless it has something to do with the story.
Absolutely. It's a matter of like,
even if he's in the back bleeding and I'm looking at him like, take these painkillers and consider whether or not he needs to go to the emergency room or whatever. Shouldn't have done it, I guess, if it didn't have anything to do with the story, because the fans were just not invested. So it's changed things for sure.
Yeah, which kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier yet again, is it's a component of storytelling. If you do it well, then even a headlock can have just as much meaning as a super kick. In a match, which, like I said, also that's a move that needs to I don't know, that's my opinion. Stop super kicking.
I have a lineage, and this is how Rudy Boy Gonzalez put it himself. My wrestling lineage travels to Shawn Michaels, because he started the school, the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy, and then it became Rudy's Texas Wrestling Academy afterwards. It's not looked fondly upon when we whip out a bunch of super kicks all over the place, for sure.
It's like, I don't know if you can necessarily blame the Young Bucks, but I mean, hey,
if it's working, it's working.
It worked for them. I mean, look at them now, And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was our interview with Alex Arsenal.
Parte uno.
Part one. And like I said, man, I just admire his passion so much, man. And the guy has a lot to say. And he has a bright future as well. Like I said, he is a product of Texas Wrestling Entertainment, and of course, with Rudy Boy being one of his trainers as well. So it was really interesting to see his perspective on things and just how open he seems. Like he's a sponge. He just wants to know more, and I admire that so much. And anybody, and this isn't just about wrestling. I admire that characteristic in people who have a thirst for knowledge. Like I always admire people that like to step out of their box, and try new things and learn new things and see as much as they can. Like, so I admire that kind of spirit in anybody, and it just so happens it's in the form of professional wrestling. So I mean, that was pretty awesome to talk to him. And like I said, tune in next week, kids, because we will be having part 2 of our interview with Alex Arsenal.
With the cool guy, Alex Arsenal.
Absolutely, man. But to close things out, man, let's get to a little bit of news.
News noticias. Let's do it.
Oh man, for those of you who love PWG, Mystery Vortex will be happening on May 10th. Now, the cool concept about Mystery Vortex is that it's always random matches, just random pairs of matches. They just mix it all up and just go. And I've always been a fan of just things that are very unpredictable and strange. So, and PWG is always an awesome time, which it is a goal of mine to go to a PWG show, because I've heard nothing but awesome things. And I know they recently changed their location. They're not at that bingo. They're not at that VFW hall anymore. Mm-hmm. And now they're at a bigger venue. I think they kind of needed to at this point, because it was virtually impossible to fit everybody in that tiny ass venue. But no less, Mystery Vortex is coming up, man. And I'm super stoked to see what could possibly happen. Maybe we'll see the Young Bucks at a PWG show, because I know that they could definitely use a warm up. Mm-hmm. Before they take on the Lucha Brothers at Double or Nothing.
Yeah. And Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is one of those promotions that could make it big, and they don't want to, though.
I think that they like that, though.
Yeah.
They like the fact that they are this punk rock organization, and they even said, no, what's the point of us trying to get a TV deal or trying to get more exposure? No, we take pride in the fact that our events are special, that if you really want to see what we're doing, you need to come here. And a lot of people do. I mean, celebrity Sofia Vergara was at a show once. Mm-hmm. PWG shows are crazy, and they're always so boisterous, and you get some of the most unique matchups. I mean, we've seen some of the stars that we see now pretty much develop in PWG. So I think that they like the fact that there's a sense of exclusivity to their shows. And
it's like Mortal Kombat.
What do you mean?
They get just different people from different places and just put them together, fight.
Yeah, but nobody dies.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good example. I don't think
maybe Street Fighter then.
Yeah. Street Fighter. Do they die in Street Fighter? No, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Maybe. But the point is, it's I kind of understand PWG because they don't stream their shows. Mm-hmm. You got to buy the DVDs to see it. You got to have been there. Or I think some of the PWG shows are on high spots after the fact, but it doesn't get streamed live. You got to be there. So I kind of admire that punk rock spirit, and it works. Because like I said, they've been going strong for a while putting on these shows. But nonetheless, Mystery Vortex, May 10th. Check it out. If you don't have tickets, go buy tickets if you're going to go fly out there to California to go watch this, because at some point I think we should go.
Yeah, we should plan it out, man.
PWG is fucking awesome. Yeah. And then another little bit of news. Speaking of strange and funny things, for AEW, apparently they have found not one, but 2 people to take on the librarian gimmick.
It's a little weird.
Peter Avalon from Pro Wrestling out of Hollywood.
Championship Wrestling
out of Hollywood.
Yeah.
He apparently has been picked as a librarian. Mm-hmm. But then on the flip side, Leva Bates has also been picked as a librarian. And if you don't recognize who Leva Bates is, she was Blue Pants, who was also for a little while was the valet for the Vaudevillains back in NXT a couple years back. So she was Blue Pants. She had a little bit of a run in NXT, but she's also a bit of a cosplayer as well. So I think it works. And apparently these 2 are going to have to duke it out somehow and find out who in fact is going to be the librarian.
Yeah. Hopefully they can figure it out.
I'm gonna Leva Bates on this one.
Yeah,
because I loved her as Blue Pants in NXT. Thought it was hilarious, as well. And then of course, there's other signings as well that happened to with AEW between Peter Avalon and Leva Bates. Also, Private Party out of House of Glory in New York City, a tag team, very high impact, very athletic young guys. So it's kind of really cool. Also, I don't know, we missed this as well. Kip Sabian was also signed from TNA fame as well. So you got those guys that have also joined the roster as well.
Yeah. Wasn't there another guy, Sunny Days, was it his name?
Sunny Days, who has also been given an opportunity, but he's also been working closely with Cody in terms of dealing with all the video packages. But he also has a bit of an opportunity to be in the over the budget battle royal. MJF has also announced himself in that over the budget battle royal as well. So, like I said, I feel like the roster is starting to beef up. What I would like to see now is maybe get one or two, maybe three more big names, and a lot of people have kind of been hinting at Dean Ambrose ever since he had his last match. According to them, he has had his last match this past weekend as of the time of this recording, and that's it. He's out.
Yeah.
And they give him a big send off, and there's always rumors. I mean, who's to say that he won't wrestle for Combat Zone again? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to basically throw some feelers out there to get Dean Ambrose once his no compete clause is up.
Another guy, Luke Harper, maybe.
Luke Harper. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there who are trying to leave the E. I know Sasha Banks, as of this recording, Sasha Banks also wants to do the same thing that Pac did, or Neville, and pretty much sit out her contract until it's out. But of course, the WWE likes to basically, whatever dates you don't do, they tack on that time you weren't there. But I think she pretty much is like, no, I'm waiting until you release me. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. So, very interesting times we live in.
Yes,
very interesting time. And speaking of another person who left WWE on not the greatest of terms, there's been a big rumor that at MKE wrestling event up north that CM Punk appeared at a wrestling event to help his former trainer Ace Steel win a match. And the thing is, he came into the event under a mask. According to Silas Young, who was there at that show, said that CM Punk, that guy in the mask was CM Punk. And the funny thing is, like, no one can really say 100% for sure it was him. The only thing is that he was also at a jiu-jitsu event the next day in a town nearby, and was wearing the same hoodie that he had worn at the wrestling event before.
I just say this guy moved like one of the Putty Patrol from Power Rangers.
Yeah, he kind of had awkward movements, but I mean, maybe he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe he did that on purpose to kind of throw people off. And because on top of that, like, he had covered his hands. Like, he definitely covered himself completely. And the other thing that kind of makes it interesting is that a fan had pointed out that CM Punk had liked a bunch of tweets from this promotion leading up to the event. And on top of that, if you know anything about wrestling history or in terms of CM Punk's career, Ace Steel was one of his trainers when he broke into the business. On top of the fact that building that they wrestled in was one of the first buildings that Punk had in one of his first wrestling matches. So I guess, and I heard that building is going to be knocked down next month by that city. So a lot of clues point to the fact that, well, maybe it could have very well been Punk, because he did hit the GTS. Yeah. At the end in the match, and then ran out. I mean, the whole thing lasted like 20 seconds.
So you could say this is a CM Punk return almost confirmed?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I know Punk is not going to say anything. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
But, it is what it is, man. I mean, like I said, I know Tony Khan said that Punk was his first draft pick when he decided to do AEW. Whether Punk wants to do pro wrestling at all or whatever else, I don't know. Only he knows.
Yeah.
I'm growing a bit tired of the Punk rumors over the past couple of years. I'm like, dude, he clearly fucking hates it. Leave him alone. Like, stop asking him. Like, it's done. It's over with. The fact that we're talking about it, I'm pretty sure is a nuisance within itself to some people. I know it is to me, but the point is that this rumor did happen.
Yeah.
Something happened, and people are saying that it was him in that mask moving around like the guy from a Putty Patrol from the Power Rangers. That's such an awesome reference. He looks like one of the guys on Putty Patrol. I completely forgot about the villains. Wow, Putty Patrol. And they used to make like sounds, right?
Yeah.
They're like
yeah.
Oh my God. Putty Patrol. I think that might be my next costume for Halloween. I'll be a member of the Putty Patrol.
Man, I think we're hungry talking about Putty Patrols going crazy.
Yeah. I'm starved. I'm starved. And on that note, I want to go get food. You got anything else for these bean bags out there?
Make me a sandwich.
Yeah, man. Gotta go do that.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Speaking of, go.
Make you a sandwich?
Yes, please.
What kind? What's your go-to sandwich before we leave?
My go-to sandwich?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or just a regular bologna and bread?
No, no. I would say my go-to sandwich would probably have to be like a regular sandwich, or like on like a hoagie or something.
Yeah, anything.
Anything? Then I would probably say like a Philly cheesesteak sub.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
So dope. Oh my God. Now I'm hungry. On that note, kids, I'm out of here. I need food. I need sustenance. Enjoy pro wrestling. Stay tuned next week for part 2 of Alex Arsenal. And it's just, like I said, go out there and enjoy pro wrestling. You got anything else, man?
I'm out of here. Let's get out of here, man.
All right, man. Peace. Until next time.
Yep.